think it's so important to work with your hands, especially for young people today, because we have such a mediated experience with, and I know parents say this to kids all the time, right? Get off your phone, get outside, and da-da-da-da. But we think not just with our heads, but with our bodies. There's a lot of scientific studies that show that when we are walking, we are using a different way of thinking. There are scientific studies that show that our emotions actually exist in different parts of our body. And so if you're trying to deal with a difficult relationship, maybe you're struggling academically, or maybe home life is really hard, like your parents don't quite understand you, you can use your body to make work about that, to think that through. Because sometimes there's only so much you can say with words. And having that as a tool, as a different way of stepping outside the problem, can bring you new insights into how to deal with your struggle. So I love teaching kids these processes because it gets them into a completely different way of thinking. You have to deal with the materials in front of you. You have to get squishy and get messy and then have to figure out how to solve this thing where, I painted it this way, but now it's coming out backwards. So how do I do this and get what I want? And that is problem solving. I loved interacting with the teenagers yesterday in the gallery. I usually interact, in more grown-up situations. I have 3 kids myself. 2 of them are teenagers. And, I'm just in the background. I'm their mom. And so when I make work, they're like, oh, mom's doing her thing. So I get different interactions from them because it's normal for them. And they're used to me talking about things. But when I encounter teenagers who've never maybe been in a contemporary art space, they're not afraid to ask basic questions that I think an adult would feel, to me, there are no dumb questions. And the teenagers are not afraid to ask that. So that's really, really refreshing. And I also invited them to touch some of the pieces, which is usually a no-no. And there's always a little risk involved, right? Stuff can break, but I have 3 kids. I totally understand. We have a really fragmented idea of what we can do and what we're into, and teenagers can define themselves by, I'm into this. I'm into that, and close themselves off to a new medium. So there was an individual who, got assigned to my class because they didn't pick anything, and they were really into music. They had their headphones on, and they were into that. But I watched them find something in the class and then get really involved in the work. And sometimes I think that is the most promising thing, because if you know how to worship in one medium, it can very easily translate to another medium. You just have to find the connection point. For some individuals, they gravitated really easily to the making of the thing, or they wanted to make something that was on a theme directly related to their faith. And that's really wonderful. Maybe you already have an idea and you know how to bring it to life, but you don't necessarily have to have the prayer in mind or the offering in mind. You can also just you can go to God and be I don't know what to pray for. You can also come before the work and be I'm not sure what I'm making, but I'm just going to be honest, and I'm going to explore what's in front of me and see what happens.